With a huge star potentially returning and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. With her last wrestling for WWE in a dark match on SmackDown in July, this was said about Tegan Nox, as Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful noted that, as best as I know, she's healthy, but I've not heard anything about her in quite some time. I think she had a show recently in New York, but she has not worked a dark match, she has not worked a speed tournament, anything in over 3 months. Giving his thoughts on the current run of Mercedes Moné in AEW, commentator for the company Jim Ross noted on his Grilling JR podcast, "I still haven't felt her connection yet. I know that she has a lot of popularity. I know that people around the world know who she is, but I haven't felt it. Sometimes I think she's a cool babyface and sometimes I think she's a cool heel, but she's pretty cool nonetheless." Talking about the legal action taken by former WWE employee Janel Grant against Vince McMahon, Ringside News wrote that Vince McMahon's legal woes just took another explosive turn. Representatives for Janel Grant, the former WWE employee accusing McMahon and ex-WWE executive John Laurinaitis of sexual assault and sex trafficking, are pushing to waive non-disclosure agreements in the ongoing lawsuit. This bold move could open the floodgates for more WWE insiders to spill the tea on McMahon's alleged misconduct. Grant's legal team filed a lawsuit back in January, and while it's on hold due to a federal investigation into McMahon, things are heating up fast. Attorney Ann Callis, representing Grant, is calling for WWE to release all former and current employees from their NDAs, letting them speak freely about their experiences, and it's not just about McMahon. Callis claims WWE is a toxic culture that's been covered up for decades. But that's not all. Kendra Barkoff-Lammy, Grant's spokesperson, took a direct shot at rumors that McMahon's buddy Donald Trump might swoop in to help him out if elected president. Speaking to Scott Johnson of Going Ringside, Lammy didn't hold back. "There is no politics at play here. This is a straight case where a woman was human trafficked." Lammy, who's represented high-profile survivors in cases against the likes of Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, is laser-focused on getting justice for Grant. She emphasized that there are no political games here, just hard facts. When asked about the possibility of Trump pardoning McMahon, Lammy made it clear she's relying on the legal system to do its job. Hopefully the facts will be followed, and that the law will be followed, and that he will be held accountable. Speaking about how kayfabe is not protected as much as it was in pro wrestling, The Undertaker noted on his 6 Feet Under podcast, "There is such a concerted effort to let everyone know what it is that we do. We try to protect the magic. No, we don't. It's wide open. There is no pride in the industry and what it is. They don't have the same kind of pride. Yes, they are great performers. They can do great things. They are more athletic than we ever were. That's great. There are some, but overall, the majority, they don't have the pride of being a professional wrestler." On that same podcast, The Undertaker and Booker T heaped praise on the promo ability of Bron Breakker, with Booker saying, "He's a talent, he's a student, and he's going to be a hell of a star. He's going to be big. You got to know how to lose in order to know how to win. For him, it's not going to hurt him at all. It's not about winning and losing other than how you win and how you lose." Taker then said, "He's a young man. He ain't even scratched the surface of what he's going to do. He cuts better promos than his uncle and his dad already. He's going to be special. He is special." Booker added, "I think a lot of people looked at that as a negative, but it didn't give him any advantages. He was going to have to go in there, and he was going to have to get there on his talent and his talent alone. For me, he's a good listener because every time I talk to him about the littlest thing, he will always try to implement it." Talking about a potential return to pro wrestling, former WWE star Maven told the Two-Man Power Trip of Wrestling podcast, "At this point in my career, almost being 50 years old, my wrestling days are over, but I'll never say never in this business. There would have to be a lot of zeros in the equation, and it would have to be the right circumstance." Recalling the segment with the Bloodline in WWE where Sami Zayn claimed that Jey Uso wasn't feeling very ucey, Jey said this to Metro, "The ucey segment. It's probably one of the dopest, fun, and coolest segments on TV, but it was also the most embarrassing for me because I was just stuck laughing on TV. There was a couple of times I just had to turn away from the camera like I had to because I just had a big smile, man. If you really look at it, Roman Reigns was trying to poke at me to crack me more. We gave everyone every feeling in that segment. It was just the best. I don't think that'll ever be replicated again." Mentioning details regarding Joe Hendry's deal with TNA Wrestling, Ringside News wrote that Joe Hendry set off a wave of speculation on October 14th after a cryptic response to a fan on Twitter when a user commented on Hendry's apparent disappearance from the wrestling spotlight, saying, "Kinda crazy how fast Joe Hendry fell off the radar. The TNA star didn't hesitate to stir the pot." Hendry replied, "Kinda crazy how poorly that tweet will age in about 4 months," fueling speculation that he could make a surprise appearance in the WWE Royal Rumble, scheduled for February 2025. The tweet sparked buzz among fans, with many believing that Hendry may be gearing up for a major debut in WWE, despite his current commitments in TNA. However, sources within TNA have assured Fightful Select that Hendry remains a focal point in the company's plans for 2025, indicating that his contract runs through late 2025. Those within TNA are pushing for Hendry to win the TNA World title in his upcoming match against Nick Nemeth, set to take place before the rumored Royal Rumble appearance. Despite the rumors swirling about WWE, Hendry is focused on his immediate future in TNA. He's scheduled to join the Hardy Boys for a media tour in Detroit next week to promote TNA Bound for Glory, taking place on October 26th at the Wayne State Fieldhouse. Revealing the origins of his WWE gimmick, the Godfather said this to Chris Van Vliet. "Yeah, I mean everything from I wanted to wear only, I wanted to be a mean pimp. Yeah, I wanted to be a mean one." And then she's like, "No, let's go this route." And she basically said, instead of trying to act like something you're not, just go out there and be your high-ass, crazy, have a good time self at this point in your life. Once people see that side of you, they're going to love you because they're going to see it's genuine. And you're just, you gotta love the Godfather, and that's why. During that same interview, the Godfather talked about potential problems he may have had with trademarks regarding his name. As it was said, "Did you ever run into trademark issues with the Godfather films? Actually, I own Godfather and Papa Shango even though I'm under a Legends deal. I've trademarked both of those. WWE didn't have the trademarks. Apparently they let it go, and when they let it go, I picked it up. They let a lot of guys from my era, they let the trademarks go. They didn't protect it, and so Mike Dawkins, my lawyer, he called me right away and he's like, hey, you need to jump on this right away. I got Papa Shango right now, and it took a while. It took 2 tries on Godfather because of the movie, so we had to separate it, a little bit of merchandise and stuff, but I got that too. But WWE has never messed with me about using my name ever. What about the movie studio? Never." Going over an issue with the match between Randy Orton and Javon Evans on NXT, and Booker T's thoughts on this. Ringside News wrote that following the October 8th episode of WWE NXT where Randy Orton and Javon Evans squared off at the Factory in Chesterfield, Missouri, there was plenty of buzz surrounding the match's conclusion. Specifically, a botched RKO from the Viper became a talking point among fans and critics. However, WWE legend Booker T came to Evans' Evans' defense, addressing the backlash during his Hall of Fame podcast. Booker T took aim at critics who were quick to judge Evans for the botched spot. Speaking passionately on the podcast, Booker said, "People giving this kid hate, as talented as he is, they wish they could go out there and do what he does. It's easy to have Twitter fingers and talk about somebody else when you're at home sitting on your sofa with a bag of chips and some donuts and a gallon of milk. It's easy to do that." The WWE Hall of Famer made it clear that the young NXT star shouldn't be criticized for what was a high-pressure moment in the ring, especially given the intensity of facing someone like Orton. According to earlier reports, both Orton and Evans had rehearsed their spots meticulously, and there was no backstage heat directed at Evans for the RKO mishap, further supporting Booker T's point that these moments are a normal part of live performance. Explaining how his contract offer from WWE got pulled in 2009, Nigel McGuinness told Talk Is Jericho, "No, it's a little convoluted, but I'll give you the condensed version. I got signed by WWE. They decided to rescind the contract because of an arm injury, even though my doctor said it was perfectly healed, and I had wrestled with it for 2 years. But that was it. That was their doctor's decision. After I passed the physical, he said, just in passing, you've never had any other injuries, have you? Being honest, I said, well, I partially tore my bicep a couple of years ago, but it's perfectly healed. He said, just let me see the MRI. So I sent him the MRI. He took a look at it and said, oh no, you need surgery. What was I gonna do at that point? I'd only ever wrestled in Ring of Honor. My best year in wrestling as an active competitor was for Ring of Honor, believe it or not, and I made $46,000 with no health insurance. So at the end of the year, I didn't have any savings. So was I going to pay out of pocket because I didn't have insurance to have a bicep surgery that I didn't think I really needed? My doctor, who was a renowned orthopedic surgeon in Tampa, he agreed as well, on the off chance that they might be interested, and we all know how that goes as well. They didn't even say, get the surgery and we'll be interested. They just said, nope, that's not going. Ringside News was able to obtain photos of the AEW show on Fox Sports Mexico and went over information regarding this, writing, AEW is going through many changes after getting a new deal with Warner Bros. Discovery and another deal with Fox Sports Mexico. In fact, the first look at the All Elite show on Fox Sports Mexico has finally been revealed. As reported earlier, AEW signed a multi-regional broadcast rights deal with Fox Sports Mexico. This long-term agreement means that Fox Sports Mexico will air all of AEW shows and special events, helping AEW grow its presence in the Latin American market. Naturally, this was seen as a big move for the company as AEW looks to establish itself in the market. Ringside News obtained photos of the first look at the All Elite show on Fox Sports Mexico. The show is hosted by Jimena Sanchez, Natalia Rivera, and Beto Rojas, and the first episode featured an in-depth discussion about the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view, which included interviews and more. The set for the show featured a rustic background that captured the essence of AEW, and fans can look forward to the All Elite show every week now. In addition to this, Dave Meltzer also reported that AEW plans to include more lucha matches due to their new deal with Fox Sports Mexico, which is why they booked Hologram versus the Beast Mortos at Wrestle Dream. When it comes to the AEW pay-per-view library, as well as episodes of Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision appearing on the streaming service Max, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, will the pay-per-view library go up on Max? The answer is yes. It may not all be up immediately. All the AEW archives will be up on Max next year. They go to Max January 1st, and it's not instantly. All of these episodes of Dynamite and Rampage and Collision will be up. They will be slowly rolled out, as will the pay-per-views. Talking about the attacks that Kevin Owens has perpetrated on Cody Rhodes and now Randy Orton, Dave Meltzer said this about a match between Orton and Owens and when it might take place, noting on Wrestling Observer Radio, they want to make it like this is not part of the pro wrestling entertainment aspect of the show. They want it to come off like this is a shoot, this is real. I think Saturday night's main event, not official, but I think that's where it's going to be. Going over the PWI Women's 250 Top 10 for 2024, it reads number 1, Toni Storm, number 2, Jordynne Grace, 3, Rhea Ripley, 4, Micah, 5, Stephanie Vaquer, 6, Sari, 7, Bayley, 8, Willow Nightingale, 9, Mariah May, and 10, Athena. For a recap and update on the injury to AJ Styles, Ringside News wrote that on the October 4th episode of WWE SmackDown, AJ Styles made his return to TV after several months, exciting fans. However, concern quickly spread when it appeared that Styles suffered an injury during the show. Following his injury, Styles revealed he feared he might have a bone sticking out of his foot due to the injury. AJ Styles gave an emotional speech to the fans during his appearance on the show. However, his speech was interrupted by Carmelo Hayes, leading to an unexpected match between them. The match started off well, but Styles hurt his foot, causing the match to stop. After the injury, Styles walked out of the ring by himself, but later he was seen using crutches, which worried fans about how serious his injury might be. It was confirmed that Styles' injury was legitimate and not part of a storyline. He will have an MRI to check how bad the injury is. Styles took to Twitter to address a fan who questioned whether he was really injured. He explained that he had a Liz Frank injury, urging the fan to look it up because it's quite painful. He added that he feared he would see a bone sticking out of his foot when he took off his boot. It's called a Liz Frank injury. Look it up. It sucks. I thought when I took off my boot, I would have a bone sticking out of my foot. Styles also replied to another fan who mentioned that Liz Frank injuries often end the seasons of running backs, noting that NFL star Cam Newton was sidelined by one in 2016. Styles agreed and jokingly stated that, as the kids say, he was cooked. Bingo. As the kids say, I'm cooked. Dave Meltzer reported that Styles was frustrated with the situation as he was planning to start a storyline for a farewell tour or a retirement tease. While this plan is still in place, it will depend on the results of Styles' upcoming MRI, which will reveal how serious his injury is. As Brock Lesnar was brought up on Raw a couple of times, this would cause him to trend on X, with fans writing, WWE mentioned Brock Lesnar's nickname The Beast not one but 2 times on Raw is not a coincidence. It's happening. It's happening. Brock Lesnar will be back in WWE sooner than we all think later. Cody Rhodes mentioned Brock Lesnar on Raw, add 6 months to the IWC fantasy booking his return on Twitter. Brock Lesnar was hinted at twice on Raw. That means 2 things. 1, he's innocent. We already knew that. 2, he's returning soon. It's been too damn long without the Beast on our screens. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes both mentioned beating a Beast. Is Brock Lesnar coming back to WWE? I beat the most dominating champion in company history, and I've already slain a frightening beast. There have been 2 Brock Lesnar references so far in the show, one from Seth and one from Cody. Brock Lesnar coming back? Seth and Cody both mentioned beating a beast in their promos. Is this a tease for a Brock Lesnar return? And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.